My name's Davey Lane.
We play in a band called UMI and we use Mozztronics pedals. Why? We're paid outrageously to do so, but also we trust them, we're having a lot of fun with them, and when Andrew calls and says, I've made something new, we get a little bit kind of tumescent. I got introduced to the mysterious Mozztronic through a mutual friend, and friend James just said, well, Tim, I've got this friend and he makes guitar pedals and I think they're pretty great. How's about it? Would you like to give them a try? And so I hooked up with Andrew, and I liked what he was dealing, and there was an aesthetic quality to what he was producing, and he talked the short game. Wasn't big on waxing lyrical. Said this is what it does, and I appreciate that, because you get along with the job and play things and they sound good. So it was once again one of those, when you get introduced to things through friends, it's a little more special than through a catalogue. Just how I meet most of my partners. But that's not true. It's just when to be introduced via a friend is there's an extra layer of trust there. Just unfortunately been broken. That's not true either.
Yeah, there is an aesthetic to these pedals that I like. It's kind of streamlined look, and suits our retro aggressive.
We're always looking to the future, man. Borrowing a little from the past, but then
That's
just
right.
planting the seeds into the future, and then waiting a couple of months and beautiful things grow.
Looking back to look ahead.
Yeah. Look, as is blindingly obvious, aesthetics are important to us, and that's why I'm wearing my grandmother's scarf with my father's jumper. But of course, that's not what it's all about. But even before putting stuff in line with our rigs, when something has an aesthetic quality to it and appeals to you, it encourages you to work with what you've got in your hands and at your feet. And what I found also with the stuff that Andrew is making and continues to, often with effects, we've been a little frustrated that some of the sounds have been a little too subtle, that we like things, the tremolo, we'd prefer tremolos to swing that way and for fuzz boxes to be rude.
Yeah.
Or then alternately, if you want to play something that just gives an amp boost and maybe replicates an amp sound that you like, you can get that as well.
Well, I think he's really Andrew's starting to really hit the purple patch with these different kind of low gain pedals that replicate circuitries of amplifiers. I first got the Vox and vaguely Fenderish kind of one, and they both plugged them in and blew me head off with. Yeah.
Which begs the question, where were they 30 years ago? It was a pursuit for years and years, particularly playing smaller clubs, and to get sounds for an amp where it wasn't manipulating the sound enormously, but to give it the crunch and sparkle and
glassy kind of
what we wanted, the sounds we wanted, and could try multifarious configurations of pedals and amplifiers and guitars, and never wanting to have massive rigs in front of us. We always thought that was an admission of defeat, and could never really replicate it. We tried tone soakers on amps that we had, and then as I said, all manner of configurations, always blaming the tools rather than our abilities, of course, and with these we're finally after 30 years of being in a band, getting the sounds that we wanted to a very long time ago, which begs the question, where were you?
Like when we tour overseas, and you kind of just have to plug into whatever's lying around, and sometimes it's not, sometimes it's really clean and a really loud amp, and this kind of helps to get us somewhere into that kind of like, nice little bit of breakup that we both really love.
Like a little bit of a crack up. Our favourite situation, I was just speaking to a promoter this morning, as it happened chance, that we landed in Italy and landed in Milan and drove out to a club in a beautiful town called Pavia, which we just love, and love the people, and Spazza Musica was a favourite club of ours, but our gear didn't land with us. And so we had to borrow these all manner of instrumentation from the local community. And
I think I used a matte black Gothic Epiphone SG into Marshall valve state, which was a unique combination.
I think we're trying not to sound as if we're poo-pooing. We're very grateful, but to travel that way, you'd like to be able to replicate your sound. And again, where were they then? Because we could have, with our Steve Vai 7-string guitars that we were very and gratefully received and given, but we could have replicated somewhat of sound. This is odd that maybe it's having a similar desire for sounds that we don't often hear created coming off stage, and so what Andrew makes, we must have somewhat similar record collections.
Well, I would tend to run my amps a little cleaner and have one of these, whether the DL30 or the TM1, have them running all the time as a kind of, and that provides my breakup to the amp.
Great sound at your disposal, and quite easily without a lot of fuss. That, and I know this isn't their primary function, but Mozztronics stuff, you can save you in situations where you need a little bit of help, because and particularly being in a band like us, every night's different. We can be playing in the toilet and then playing in a large venue the next day, and so you can either get these wonderful perfect sounds that you want in studio or in clubs where you can really turn it up and use volume's not a concern, or when you're playing smaller joints, which we do quite a lot, that they've got that dual purpose that they can save you. And we all know if you're playing an instrument and you're not getting your tone or your sound, it's just a little dispiriting.
Yeah.
And you've got to rely on your good looks, and well, it's getting harder these days. They travel really well.
Yeah,
it's
robust.
We have absolutely kicked the living shit out of these things. Just in vengeance. Where were they 30 years ago? They travel really, really well.
Yeah.
And when instruments are there to be played and gear's there to be played, I mean, you'd like to respect it, and respect that you can play through things and play with things, and we don't, despite all stories to the contrary, we don't smash things or disrespect gear anymore, but they are remarkably hardy, which is not only a pleasure but a bit of a surprise, because they are very, very good looking. Well, the Mozztronics, because I prefer to use the French pronunciation, of course, is tube drive, classic fuzz, JFET drive. I don't use compressor because I don't even know what compressing is. Use tremolo. I'm possibly going to be using the Tone Meister all the time, just in my life, in my day-to-day running around. Got a problem, Tone Meister, and suddenly everything's better.
Straight circuit to the noggin.
There you go. So it's more than it's using. It's just trying to get that great tone where my style of playing guitar is heavily reliant upon finding just the right tone, or else some things just sound a little less than enthusiastic. So that's my basic little setup.
And I think the TM1 pedal, which was kind of modelled on the Tone Master, which is Tim's amp of choice. If you play a guitar with whether a Rickenbacker or something with those kind of toaster pickups through one of those, get pretty close to replicating that classic Rogers sound.
Because when we first got given a Tone Master by our producer Lee Ronaldo, and plugged my guitar in and played it, and I thought, again, where's this been all my life? But that was in a studio situation, and we were able to wind everything out, and you could get that beautiful crunch and power. And in situations now where we can't really wind things out, now we can use the TM1. Or also, when you're overseas, travelling on a train, want to talk to someone who looks interesting, press the Tone Master, TM1, there you go, you can instantly communicate in any language you want.
Bang. I use the classic fuzz. That's my go-to fuzz box. And it's good because it's pretty versatile. You can kind of like back it right off and have it as more a solo boost, but I kind of tend to just have everything wound up to 10 and just have it as like squelchy and which is not so much fun for my bandmates on stage.
the soundtrack to our lives. What's that playing? Oh, that's right. It's David. There's 5 minutes to Doors.
So that classic fuzz is my go-to fuzz. The JFET drive is my favourite of all the drives. I could not articulate to you why, but
is that a bit hotter? Is that?
I don't know. I think it's just a bit kind of. I don't know. Just a bit kind of glassier, if that kind of like. I don't know. It kind of. I'm really great at I can use all these kind of like woody or like spongy or warm.
Let's go with glassy.
Let's go.
JFET just reminds me of Star Wars for some reason. Is that Boba Fett? Is that a character?
Oh, right.
I can hear that influence in there. I can't.
Yep. I use the compressor pedal as well when I play 12-string. That really gives you, because I guess that classic kind of Bird's 12-string sound is the compressor pedal, and with the bright switch on, it just gives you that little bit of extra sparkle that you need to make those extra strings jangle. I've been using the DL30 and the TM1 pretty consistently since I got them, and I use them for different. Like I'd say, I might have either one on all the time as to run a kind of cleaner amp, a bit harder and with a bit more of a manageable on-stage volume.
That's a good start.
I mean, that's like running reasonably clean, but I might have. And this is the DL30 pedal. It's a pretty good kind of go-to broken up sound, and that's with the bass on about 12 o'clock, treble on about 9 o'clock, the volume all the way up, and the gain at about, sorry, treble on 3 o'clock, but using a clean amp, it gives you a pretty nice kind of rhythm, go-through rhythm, break-up sound. Fuzz, I usually have maybe the tone a bit backed off, but everything else all the way up. That gives you a nice squelchy, mean fuzz sound. The JFET, actually the compressor, the CO1, I would have like the brightness on, and this is more so for 12 string stuff. I'd have the ratio in about half, the attack almost all the way up, and the volume depending on what else I've got in line with the song that I'm especially for that's mainly for 12 string, but you can kind of tell with the bright pedal on it, it makes things gives it a nice little squash and sparkle.
I finally understand what it means. It's great. After years, I thought it was
You knew.
I just never knew really how to use it. Look, some players refer to their sound as meat and potatoes. Mine's more bubble and squeak. This isn't my regular guitar. So, for example, I was touring with Alejandro Escovedo recently, and I was needing to get a little bit of, when I wasn't playing subtle stuff with him, and just sounds behind him and some echoing effects. It would be great just to use TM1 and tremolo. Just to get something a little, and with the volume pedal, just to work in spaces behind him, which I enjoyed because I had to play with some subtlety, which I haven't always exhibited. With the UMI or with the Draft Dodgers or and playing small clubs, I'd just have the Tone Master on, get nasty little rude rhythm sound, and then maybe use the JFET if I wanted to get something a little. Oh, it's a tuba. Just for rudeness. And my stuff would just with my kind of would be using the Tone Master really, and as you, it's going from that which has its charms, but is rude, and rudeness always wins out over charm.
that's all the ones that I usually use.
Very groovy.